What was life truly like behind the forbidden gates of the harem? Have you ever pondered the reality of living in one? Perhaps you envision an idyllic scene, with beautiful women enjoying fabled nights of pleasure, relaxation, and a carefree existence, right? The truth is markedly different. The word harem etymologically derives from terms signifying secret or forbidden, and speaking of restrictions, it was extremely common for Ottoman harems to operate under incredibly severe protocols. Contrary to popular perception, the women inhabiting these spaces wielded considerable influence in the social life of the palace, even making crucial decisions about the life or death of other people. Greetings, passionate time travelers. Today, I will unveil what daily life was like inside a harem. If you're curious to unravel these hidden details, don't hesitate to leave your appreciated like and subscribe to our channel. Without further ado, let's immerse ourselves in this fascinating historical journey. It's crucial to dismiss the stereotypical image of paradisiacal gardens where multitudes of odalisques voluntarily offered themselves to the Sultan amidst lutes and pleasures. In ancient Istanbul, during the zenith of the imposing Ottoman Empire, the harem was, in essence, a place of devout prayer, rigid discipline, and harsh punishments that could even culminate in execution. The harem formed the domestic and private section of the Sultan's palatial residences. During the reign of Sultan Mehmed III, between 1595 and 1603, the quarters of the majestic Topkapi Palace in Istanbul housed approximately 1,000 women. The primordial goal for all of them was to conceive the next heir to a vast empire that spanned 3 different continents. Founded in the 13th century during the late Middle Ages by Osman I, Ottoman Islam expanded throughout Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, until it achieved the capture of Constantinople, the great Christian stronghold of the East, in the significant year of 1453. The women were meticulously selected for their exceptional qualities, both of beauty and intellect, coming from spoils of war, citizens of the empire itself, or even from frontier territories, with the aim of becoming refined court ladies. The youngest entered the harems to receive a disciplined education and, depending on their performance and aptitudes, could be promoted to positions like kalfas or ustas, supervisors and teachers. Those destined to become the Sultan's sentimental partners achieved the status of dynastic members, experiencing a hierarchical progression that could culminate in the rank of favorite, fortunate, or cadin, a term designating a wife. Closest to this upper echelon were the cadins, 4 in total, successively followed by the fortunates, and then the favorites. However, the highest position a harem woman could attain was undoubtedly that of the Valide Sultan, the mother of the future reigning sultan. Despite these privileges, their contact with the outside world was minimal. Generally, these women were brought to the harem against their explicit will, becoming, essentially, captives subjected to the institutionalized harem system in Ottoman society. The administration of these female residences often fell to the mother of the reigning sultan, who held the prestigious title of Valide Sultan. None of the female members could enter or leave the compound without her express authorization, and typically, the sultan's mother held absolute authority over the life and death of these women, depending on any infraction committed. The Valide Sultan was responsible for carefully regulating her son, the sultan's, relationship with his varying wives and children, which granted her immense political power. The physical environment of the harem possessed an extraordinary architectural splendor. The central core of this female universe consisted of a magnificent pavilion built around a spacious courtyard, where the women could refresh themselves in a pool or contemplate the serenity of the garden. This atmosphere conveyed a sense of peaceful tranquility, fostering moments of contemplation and rest. The courtyard functioned as a community space where residents could gather to read together, practice their prayers, or simply share personal narratives. Despite the mandatory confinement within this gilded cage, there were private chambers reserved for the Sultan and over 400 rooms destined for rest, entertainment, and daily activities. The Imperial Harem typically housed numerous women, including the sovereign's official wives, his mother, his female descendants, his female relatives, and the domestic service. Of course, the eunuchs remained constantly vigilant for any improper behavior. The sultan's male children also lived in the harem until the age of 12, at which point their transition to male adulthood was considered complete. The harem constituted a deeply intimate and reserved domain, where no man outside the sultan's personal circle could lay his eyes. Consequently, this enclosure had to be guarded by individuals who, although male in origin, did not represent a sexual threat. The prevailing belief in Ottoman society held that an ordinary man would be unable to control himself sexually among so many women, which led to the tradition of incorporating eunuchs as members of the palace personnel. These castrated servants received specific training in the palace, being assigned the responsibility of guarding the harem until they ascended the hierarchy after serving effectively in varying functions. These assistants were subordinate to the chief eunuch, or Kisler Agassi, who rigorously supervised the palatial areas inhabited by women, exercising considerable influence among both officials and the female population. They generally occupied the second position in the sultan's line of trust, only below the Grand Vizier, the highest governmental authority. Despite the prevailing restrictions, not all women in the sultan's harem were slaves. Some of them were legitimate wives who enjoyed the privilege of cohabiting with the sovereign's concubines. Technically, these wives were free, as they had voluntarily accepted the marriage. This circumstance likely generated certain nightly frictions with the concubines, but there was no viable alternative. The members of the harem had to accept each other and find mechanisms for coexistence within their complex interrelationships. Becoming a lady of the harem did not solely imply possessing attractive physical attributes. The process included rigorous learning, where they were taught artistic refinement and appropriate behavior, characterized by confidence and charm. In essence, the harem functioned as a female educational institution where young women received the necessary training to integrate adequately into the court and find their place in the strict social order established. Naturally, the women belonging to the Imperial Ottoman Harem acquired a deserved reputation for their extraordinary beauty, coming from diverse geographical regions and possessing notable literary and linguistic knowledge.